Peace, salutations, blessings, family.
In the wake of rising crime throughout the country, a troubling trend.
Hold on, let me start at the beginning. I'm going to be playing this audio from Newsmax. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and put the link in case you want to view it for yourselves. It's going to be a couple of videos I'm going to be putting out there. So I could get a real feel of what's going on out here. That's the link. In order, if you want to view that video for yourselves, from that's from Newsmax, and there's that network and several other networks been talking about the so-called crime surge and all of that going on, and police recruitment being low. And I also did a video 2 years ago that I'm going to be playing too, which will also explain why police recruitment is low. And it's taken off of a YouTube channel. Something I don't know if it's something that I recorded. No, it wasn't. It was something I recorded from another YouTube channel. I'm going to play that as well. Excuse me. So, without further ado, here's this video right here. Let's go ahead and listen.
In the wake of rising crime throughout the country, a troubling trend has begun taking shape. Police departments struggling to find new recruits. For more on this, we welcome in the National Vice President of the Fraternal Order of Police and Houston Police Department Sergeant Joe Grimaldi. Nice to see you, Joe. Thanks so much for coming on. Have you noticed this trend? Tell me about what you're seeing.
Yeah, I've been a police officer for 17 years, and this is the worst that I've ever seen recruitment and staffing. I mean, we've really reached a very dangerous tipping point here. I mean, recruitment is down nationwide. In Massachusetts, it's down 40%. In Illinois, it's down 70%. In New Jersey, it's down 90%. We're seeing it everywhere. Compounding that problem is that we have retirements up 45% nationwide. Resignations are up 20%. So we have everybody leaving the department, and we don't have anybody to replace them. And in fact, a recent survey of our FOP members said that staffing shortages is the number one stressor for police officers that are on the street. So I don't think it's hyperbole when I say our profession is dying right now. We can't find anybody to step up and take this job. And do you really blame them? I mean, we've had politicians in the media throwing police officers under the bus any chance they get, scapegoating us for every problem in our society. And people are just getting fed up. They're voting with their feet, and they're taking different jobs. They burned down the institution of policing, and now we're just living in the ashes. And the only way to solve this problem now is that they're going to have to reduce services, which means police officers aren't going to come out when your house gets burglarized or when your car gets stolen. Or the other alternative is to lower standards, which we're already seeing. In the NYPD, they're not going to be testing for marijuana anymore, and we're seeing more and more people allowed to come on this job with criminal histories. So if you don't think that's going to come around and bite us in the ass later on down the road, you got another thing coming.
What about these retirements then? The people who've served their careers in law enforcement, and they've got families who've looked up to them and admired them for their work in protecting and serving the community. Are they encouraging the next generation to serve in law enforcement?
No, absolutely not. And, it actually is a storied part of history here in law enforcement that we have legacies, sons, daughters that want to carry on that service for their families. But what we're finding is the officers that are retiring, they're telling their kids, don't you dare take this job. And what they're telling them is if you're interested in a life of service, go find something else to do. They don't want to see their kids being called murderers. They don't want to see their kids getting spit in the face. They don't want their kids, crucified in the public anytime that an officer uses force. The fact of the matter is we're just very tired and frustrated in law enforcement. And as a result, that's why you're seeing recruitment numbers tanking. That's why you're seeing our retirement numbers up through the roof. These are all symptoms of a problem that we need to get back to actually supporting law enforcement in this country. I know that's such a novel concept, but that could help fix the problems that we're seeing.
You know, Joe, I wanted to ask you about what we saw recently at an Indiana shopping mall, where a gunman opened fire on people who were just enjoying a meal at the food court. And there was a bystander who also fired back at this gunman and did stop the threat, quite frankly. It comes in the wake of a Trafalgar Group poll showing 41% responding, saying that armed citizens are the best protection against mass shootings. And I wanted to ask you about this idea of a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun. And considering, too, the time it might take for, police officers to make their way to the crime scene. Is an armed citizen someone who's going to help solve the problem while police are making their way there to the scene?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to discuss the reality of it. Listen, the hardworking men and women of law enforcement, we're going to get there as quickly as possible. But if you called us right now, we're 3 to 5 minutes away. And in this case of an active shooter situation, someone can kill and harm an awful lot of people in that short period of time. Thankfully, this young man who was armed legally at that mall, he was able to save a lot of people's lives and prevent a lot of tragedy from occurring because he had a firearm. But also an important component to that is, according to the reports, he made a very good shot from where he was. It's important that if you are going to carry a firearm, make sure, number one, that you're carrying it legally, but also that you're trained and that you know how to use that firearm in case of a situation like this.
That's Sergeant Joe Gamaldi joining us this morning. Thank you, sir. Do appreciate the conversation today.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the...
Ooh, that was one video. And that's just a shortened version. This is a video. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I could I'm gonna see if I could find the link while I played this video where you can actually watch Fox News. I think it's I'm sure they still got it on their channel somewhere, but I got it from the Fox News channel. Here we go. This is a video that I did recording this that I did 2 years ago. Here we go.
Folks, I got some white tears for you. It's gonna make you laugh. I'm not gonna play this almost from the beginning. Oh, you guys are gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Oh, you're gonna love it. This shit is gonna make you laugh, god damn it. This shit is gonna make you laugh. Oh my freaking God. Absolutely. Oh, this shit does not get any funnier than this. Well, here it is. Here it is, folks. Here it is, folks. Here it is, folks. Indeed. Just had to check and make sure this thing is live so I could play this entire news conference for you. Oh, this shit is funny. Oh my God, this shit is funny. Oh, this is my This is my comment under the Fox News thread of this video. I am just laughing in tears, man. Oh, y'all going to enjoy this. I gotta play it. Without further ado, we're gonna play this press conference of these police union in New York. I hope y'all ready for this. This is gonna be epic.
Hold on. Before I even play it. Hold on. I found the actual I was trying to share it, but problem is I'm not able to save it. I wasn't able to copy it, so let's just go ahead and play the actual video here. Damn, the volume is just too damn low. Hold on. Let me go ahead and do something real quick. I'm gonna actually send you a copy of the actual press conference so y'all can listen to it so y'all can see the visual for yourselves. Before I go ahead and play the recording of the video I did 2 years ago. Here we go.
Sorry about
Westchester
that.
County Corrections Superior Officers Association, Bruce Donnelly. From the Westchester County Corrections Officers Benevolent Association, Neil Blow. Dennis Quirk, President, New York State Court Officers Association. And Tom Mungier, New York State Troopers PBA President. I think that's it.
You know, as we just watched, as our colleague listed off the names of the leaders and the members of practically every police, law enforcement, corrections union across this state, representing hundreds of thousands of citizens who happen to be police officers and correction officers and court officers at Bridge and Tunnel. One of the few times where everyone comes together, knowing that we, as professionals, are under assault. Where the signs on the street are...
Wait a minute, you mean police officers are really under assault? Oh, man, this shit gets salty. Oh, man. That's why I put the link of the actual press conference. And actually, you're still going to see my comment with the laughing emojis on there. Oh, my God. This is funny. Continue. I'm gonna let this thing play. This is already funny. If y'all laughing, it's okay to laugh. Because this shit is hilarious.
Dictating the legislation that happens, but it's worse than that. We here in the city are doing this in the backdrop of a night where we had 7 shootings in 4 minutes, 8 shootings in 5 hours in different parts of Brooklyn, not connected. Last week, 40 shootings, the highest since 2015. Homicides went from 5 to 13. Burglaries have quadrupled. You may ask why. Why now? How is this happening? How is this happening when we have so many professional, caring law enforcement officers out there on the street? And the answer is simple. there's been a message not only from our city hall, but from the State House that says there will be a soft touch. And the criminals know it. And while folks were protesting, they were breaking down doors, climbing in windows, pulling out their weapons they're not afraid to carry. The hatred towards law enforcement is misguided. I have 36 years as a New York City police officer, and I can tell you this unequivocally. Not one woman or man that has a shield on their chest, a patch on their shoulder, regardless of what arm of law enforcement they come from, will support or defend a murder of an innocent person. And that's what happened. Let us be unequivocal. In all my time, I've never seen a time when not one law enforcement would support. 8 minutes is wrong. There was no struggle. There was no reason. So I know I speak on behalf of every police officer here. It was wrong. We denounce it, and we have from the beginning. We've had in this city violence on our streets, hiding amongst protesters. Folks that believe, that go out on the streets and bring their signs. We don't criticize them, we police them. We're protesters. I've protested. We've protested. We believe in it, we believe their rights, but now we're being guided by those that were intent on violence from outside our communities, that threw the stone, that broke the window, that caused the violence, that injured 300 police officers, some viciously. That's who we denounce. And then, for our legislators, and I emphasize our legislators, to then demonize police officers as if we're the problem, as if we broke the window, as if we caused the violence. That is absolutely outrageous. We as police officers are citizens of this city, these counties, and our state. Our families live with us too. What we're seeing now in a rush to pass packages of bills in the dark of night without even reading them. Ask our legislators, have you read the bill? We've heard it before. They'll say they're busy. They'll say they don't have time. The bill is hundreds of pages. Well, it's your job to read it and know what it says. So the reason I say that is why aren't you speaking to all the stakeholders? You know, that's their word. The stakeholders. The stakeholders. Our families, you know, the community. The stakeholders. Why aren't you asking the question of professional law enforcement? Why aren't you seeking our advice? Is it that maybe we'd be reasonable? Maybe we can see what the problems would be? Maybe because we're standing on that street corner with our fellow citizens, we know that they don't want this violence visiting their corners, but we've seen it. Didn't we just visit this problem with our legislature recently? Didn't they rush through bail reform? Did they have to admit they made a mistake? Why did it happen? It happened because they rushed it in the dark of night without speaking to, you know, the stakeholders. The stakeholders. They talk about transparency. Me too. We want to be transparent. You can only have transparency if you're being honest, having the discussion, having the dialogue. Defund the police department. Ask different folks. What's the definition? Get rid of the police? Defund the police? Shift the money around? It's a slogan. It's a slogan during a protest. I admire it. because it's open to so many definitions. We went out on the streets to do a job. We went out in the street during this violence. We went out in the street because we knew we had to. City Hall asked us and ordered us to, and the brass put us out there. But then what we found out, there was no plan. There wasn't enough of us. We weren't up planning on stopping the violence. The violence visited us. We have district attorneys from all our counties, from many of our state, saying we will not prosecute criminals who looted, not protested, who looted, who riot. Our DAs won't prosecute them. But you know what's on the hearts and minds of everybody that has a shield in their hip pocket today? That who the DA did prosecute was a police officer whose boss sent him out there to do a job, was put in a bad situation during a chaotic time. And you know what? Mike Graham told me it was going to happen. Everybody walked away from them. It was no longer a boss standing next to him like it was that night. The brass threw him under a bus, not saying it's our fault, we didn't have a plan, we asked them to go out there. The DAs to say, we don't have time to prosecute criminals, but we'll prosecute you. Talk about de-escalation. They're de-escalating their job. They're refusing to do their job. They're asking us to pull back. They're asking us to pull back. They're asking us to walk away from you. They're asking us to abandon our communities. They're asking me to walk away from where I live. They're asking me to walk away from where I work. They're asking us to walk away from the neighborhoods that we brought back. And that's what's happening. And you know what? We don't have a choice.
Oh, wow.
If we put our hands on the criminal, you're going to jail. I'm not being dramatic. That's how bad it is. No one's read the bills. They're following the crowd. What's the joke? I'm the leader.
What's the joke?
Let me catch up with them. They're legislating by signs in a protest. We have our leadership who think they'll appease the criminals, who think they'll appease the rioters. They think they'll appease our critics. You know what my job as a New York City police officer is? When I put that shield on my chest, I put that patch on my shoulder, my job at that protest is to stand on my own 2 feet. My job and your job is to make sure we protect your right to say what you believe as loud as you want, wherever you want. And we'll stand that line. We'll stand that line and protect that right. But when I'm standing that barrier line, what I don't have is a personal opinion. My job is to protect yours. So when we see our leaders tactically putting themselves on the ground, when we see our leaders joining the other side of the barrier, whether we personally agree or not, you're derelict in your duty. You stand the line. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're angry, but it makes no difference because we stand the line. We stand the line on our feet, with our shoulders back, with our shield out, saying, I'm here to make sure you're good. Now, if I want to go across that line, if I'm the brass in this job that wants to jump over the line and go on the ground, then throw it at 28. Take your time. Go home, change, and come back and do it on your own time. Don't do it on the time of the citizens. Don't do it on my time. Don't do it on the backs of our members. And then when it goes wrong, and the DA says we're going to lock you up, You should be standing next to them saying, I'm the leader. I sent them out. I should take the hit. I should get locked up. But don't hold your breath. We're not going to see that because they've walked away. I know many times when myself and my fellow union leaders take this microphone, folks think, well, they got to be a little bombastic and they got to be dramatic. I couldn't tell you how more serious I am. A while back, we had a press conference where we turned our flag upside down. I said we're under distress. They said we're under distress, and nobody listened. I don't want the neighborhood I worked in, that I brought back, that we brought back. I don't want it to slide back. Homicides 5 to 13.
Man, it sounds like some Pressure Olympics, don't it? Oh man, that is so funny. That's why I left the link on there. I'll let y'all listen to the rest of that for yourself, and y'all can laugh and let me know what y'all think in that comment section or what have you. And it's funny, but yeah, it's real funny. It's real funny. Yeah, I just. We're going to stop it right there. I'll let y'all listen to the rest of it. It's like 51 minutes long, 51 plus minutes long. So, yeah, y'all go ahead and check the rest of that for it. That was just 15 minutes that I played of it. So, yeah. Here's another link. Something else.
Well, the mayor and chief say this is a comprehensive change to the hiring system. Their goal is using a variety of methods from cash bonuses to hiring professional recruiters to attract more qualified applicants to the department. Seattle city officials aren't tiptoeing around the subject.
Many of these officers are working double shifts. They're being disrespected, and they are dealing with issues even in their own lives on their day-to-day jobs that I'm concerned with as mayor.
The Seattle Police Department is facing a staffing crisis, has been for years. A department that over the last 2.5 years has lost 400 officers to retirement or resignation.
We cannot afford to lose another single officer, especially to other law enforcement agencies.
Part of a new comprehensive recruitment and retention plan introduced by the mayor and chief includes a $30,000 lateral transfer bonus and a $7,500 incentive for new recruits.
Let me make that point very clear. But officers have options, like anyone else. So we are competing, and we want the finest officers here. We make we advance no ambiguities on that issue.
A plan to add hiring bonuses that's still pending council approval.
I feel pretty optimistic.
Cash aside, the program also calls to incentivize hiring officers with diverse backgrounds, giving priority to those with a college education, skills beyond English, and a candidate who values living in Seattle. But will this be enough? How do you overcome the reputational damage to the department, specifically, officers maybe in other parts of the country that have some ill-formed opinion of Seattle?
Many of these officers are saying this, and you should know this, Sebastian. They're saying, we want to be trusted. We want to be trusted. We want to be respected by the community.
To achieve this goal, the mayor's plan also includes a PR blitz intended to help win hearts and minds. The mayor...
If I'm not mistaken, there are police departments within the state of Washington and the state of Oregon that are told not to go after BLM and Antifa type peoples. They stand down when it comes to them, but they don't stand down when it comes to Black people. So I just want y'all to keep that in mind as they talking about this new recruitment plan that they want to unveil and so on and so forth. This is a most recent story, July 13th. So which was last week, barely even a week. Well, today is the 19th, almost a week ago. So this is a police department that is going through a 30-year low in recruiting officers. So 30 years, that's 1992. Interesting, though. Yeah, there's probably so many videos that I could show where the police recruitment is low. Well, it probably would take me forever. And this is not even mainstream news media. These are all local news channels from places all over the country. And, Seattle, Seattle is no different than any other city in this nation. So, yeah.
Staff pointing to this video.
When you join the police, you be trained with skills to keep you and others safe.
Posted by the country of New Zealand's police force. An over the top, at times ridiculous pitch to the public to consider a career in law enforcement. A fresh, new look that may be a glimpse of what's to come for Seattle. As it stands, the department has less than 1,000 officers, a low they hit in 2020. The department's goal is 1,400. That's what the mayor has said, a number they haven't hit since 2013. In Seattle, Sebastian Robertson, King 5.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the Spotlight as we examine these recruiting wars. I'm David Rose. Amid the calls to defund and reform the police, there's a battle going on between law enforcement agencies. They are competing to recruit and retain qualified officers, with some agencies offering perks like take-home cars, 4-day work weeks, and thousands of dollars in signing bonuses. But a notable agency is hemorrhaging talent, the Seattle Police Department, and things could be about to get significantly worse. The Spotlight's Matt Markovich digs into the numbers and discovers that the Emerald City is staring down the barrel of a full-blown public safety emergency.
The staffing crisis at Seattle Police is getting worse.
Number one, officers want to feel valued. They want to feel appreciated. And they're also thinking about their own health and well-being.
Apparently, that's not happening. 43 have left this year, only 13 hired. SPD is now on track to lose far more officers than it's projected to hire. However, the president of the Police Officers Guild says the city's not revealing the true number, saying 59 have left.
I think some of this is political. That's why we try to circumvent the politics here and give the community accurate, non-political numbers so they really understand how serious this situation is.
I think all of us can agree that we do have a hiring crisis for the Seattle Police Department.
We are clearly dealing with a public safety emergency. We don't have enough officers on the street to deal with it.
Yet at a Seattle City Council committee meeting to discuss a hiring incentive resolution proposed by Councilmember Sarah Nelson, some appeared to be satisfied with the status quo, wanting alternative policing options.
The 2021 study found that 49% of all of our 911 call types, which constitute 80% of the call volume, could be responded to by an alternative responder, not a sworn officer.
The problem?
Do we have any of these alternative emergency responses ready to go today?
The answer to that is no.
Alternative policing may also be on the bargaining table right now, as the Police Officers Guild and the city are negotiating a new contract.
We are more than willing to sit down with the city and bargain what alternative forms of policing looks like when you compare it to the history, the work that's been done by police officers, by members of this union.
And the chief revealing in the meeting, the department has disbanded community police teams and precinct-based anti-crime teams. Bike and beat cops have gone from 55 to 4 reduced investigative and specialty units, all in an effort to put more officers into patrol cars and reduce 911 response times. And those times are still going up.
Our priority 1 call response time has gone up, as well as our priority 2 calls has actually exceeded over 30 minutes. And our priority 3 calls is almost over an hour. So even when people do need 911 services, we're not able to respond in an adequate amount of time.
By its own account, Seattle Police is on track to fall short of its hiring goal of 125 new officers this year. Just dropped that goal to 98. The officers' union president says it's more like 50.
Although they've lowered it, their expectations, they're still over projecting the amount of hires.
The council is currently not funding any retention or hiring bonus to keep or recruit new officers.
Most, if not all, cities in our region do have this, and it's been said that we need to level the playing field for offering our officers this. Otherwise, we're going to lose them to other departments.
For example, the lateral hiring bonuses offered by nearby police agencies range from $15,000 to $30,000. At SPD, it's zero. A new mayor's report supports some council members' assumptions that incentives don't work.
It's not clear for SPD that the bonuses resulted in more people applying.
The council is now focusing on other city positions the mayor's office says could use hiring and retention incentives, like carpenters, HVAC technicians, plumbers, truck drivers, cashiers, inspectors, even a veterinarian.
Because it's not just retention strategies in one department, given that there's been a lot of focus on that. It's retention and recruitment strategies in every single department.
So a good day for me is I was able to help.
Seattle Police has been on a promotional push to hire new officers for several years, producing several day-in-the-life profiles of officers in an effort to win over new recruits. The union chief says that's all well and good, but there's something simple that can be done to keep officers from fleeing the department.
We need a politician that publicly says police officers are valued in this city, and we welcome their service to this great community. That's literally as basic as I need to say it.
I want to talk about the funding in the Seattle City Council. What's happening with all the money right now that's not being used to pay for salaries? Are we basically defunding the police by just not paying salaries and hiring new officers?
It's kind of almost by default, because the Seattle City Council, which controls all the funds in the city of Seattle, including the SPD budget, they're basically talking about taking all the money from these officers who they won't be able to hire this year. And you just heard that SPOG is saying it maybe 50, where they had budgeted for 125. So that's at least $4.5 million, maybe even more by the end of the year. Well, some members of the city council are talking about putting that back into the general fund for other uses that aren't related to Seattle Police. If that happens, prevailing feeling is that money won't ever go back to the Seattle Police Department, because, as you know, there's been this 2-year adversarial relationship between the police department and the city council. The police department doesn't feel like they're supported by the city council, and the city council hasn't been funding SPD to the point that they want.
Oh yeah, if that money goes back to the general fund, you can say goodbye to it forever. They will use it for other pet projects. Where does Mayor Harrell stand on all this?
The mayor has stood back and basically said, I'm going to wait and see. He's been asked direct questions, including me. Do you plan to have your own initiatives that would allow for a recruiting bonuses or even a retention bonus? And he's basically said, I'll wait and see. So what he did is have his staff go into all the departments in Seattle to figure out, well, do we need incentive bonuses for other departments like animal control or city light, things like that. They came back and they found that other places need it. So now the council has ammunition in a way to move some of the funds that Harrell could use for just the incentive bonus for SPD. That money could go to all these other departments. So Mayor Harrell has not come out and said, I strongly support retention bonuses or incentive bonuses. I want to wait and see.
Matt Markovich, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Well, when it comes to hiring new officers, departments across our state are up against two main obstacles. Now, one is perception, that some vocal members of the public and politicians don't support the job that they're doing. Some potential recruits interested in the job could be concerned that they won't be appreciated, or they'll face even some public backlash. The other is the Criminal Justice Training Center, where all new hires must attend a 6-month training class. Other states don't have that. For example, when New York or Los Angeles police departments need to hire new officers, they find candidates, make offers, and then send cadets to their own training academies. But for law enforcement agencies based in Washington state, they hit a bottleneck that incentivizes agencies to compete for lateral hires. Officers and deputies who have already graduated from the Criminal Justice Training Center and are on the job with other departments. That's leading to an arms race to see who can dole out the most cash for signing bonuses and perks. For example, Tacoma is looking to fill about 50 positions. The city is offering $25,000 to entice officers to transfer from other agencies, and they'll let them take home a car so they don't rack up miles or burn their own gas commuting. Tacoma's new police chief, Avery Moore, telling the Spotlight his department is in the Goldilocks zone.
You have the opportunity to have a career within the career, because we're not a small department, we're not large, we're right in that mid-level. So you can be a detective here, homicide, sexual assault, you can work in K-9, you can work in the traffic division, you can work in the new coming gang unit, narcotics. So it's just a wide range of opportunity here that you may not have at a smaller agency.
He took over the job in January and is taking an analytics-based approach to assess crime and allocate resources.
So my mantra to my people are, we're going to focus solely on what we can do. We know the parameters already. So we're going to focus on what we can do, and we're going to deliver with the community and what we want. We want to make it safe because we live in Tacoma as well.
His strategic plan includes using criminologists from Texas to research where violent crimes are occurring in Tacoma and mixing that data-driven approach with a heartfelt new agey message.
At the root of all policing is love. And I believe you have to tell your officers you love them. You have to show them that you love them, because everybody needs love. So that's my motto, love.
The Pierce County Sheriff's Department also has about 50 positions open for deputies. They've hired several former Seattle police officers who made the switch. Deputies patrol from Mount Rainier to the Sound. They also take home a patrol vehicle. The county's offering a $15,000 signing bonus. For some considering a career in law enforcement, it matters who the top cop is. King County has a new sheriff. Patty Coltendo was appointed to the permanent position this week after serving as interim sheriff since last year. Her department is searching far and wide for new deputies. We spoke with the new boss as deputies took off for a literal recruiting drive.
Law enforcement is a noble career. It is a way to serve and give back to the community. We train our deputies well. We train them to keep themselves.
All right, that's enough right there.
Well, the mayor and chief say this is a comprehensive change.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle for these police officers, though. Here's NBC News story and how morale is at an all-time low.
Night after night after night. The clashes in Portland were relentless, and many police officers felt targeted.
Morale, I think, is at an all-time low now.
The precinct where Officer Krota Runsuck works is still boarded up more than a year after George Floyd's murder.
We're being held responsible for the actions of an officer that's across the country, and I don't think that's fair.
Since last July, at least 115 Portland officers have left the force, either by resigning or retiring. There are now barely 800 left. Just last week, members of the city's rapid response team resigned from that unit after one officer was charged with excessive force during a protest last year.
We're stereotyped.
Daryl Turner is the police union's executive director, who retired in January.
We're dealing with rioting at a level and a sustained violence that we've never seen before. Gun violence in our city like we've never seen before. We're looking at the most catastrophic staffing levels we've ever seen before.
It's a problem that's exploded nationwide. Several cities have faced calls to defund the police. Others have slashed budgets due to COVID. More and more officers say they feel villainized like never before. A survey of about 200 police departments finds that retirements are up 45% and resignations 18% when compared with the previous year.
We've reached a breaking point.
Sergeant Jake Verhalen in Folsom, California says Floyd's death has rippled across even smaller departments like his, where recruiting new officers is getting much harder.
Some of it has to do with pay and benefits, but I think there is a bigger picture, and that being this public discourse, if you will, against the police. And some young people perhaps are asking themselves the question, is that really a career path that I want to go down?
In Richmond, Virginia, Officer Carol Adams is now trying to mend relationships within her community as a black woman last year's protest felt even more personal.
I'm standing as a human being and I'm processing as a human being. Do you think you can help me with the dollar? I'm gonna give you $1 too. You can't separate me. You can't make me one or the other. I'm both.
That duality, even more drastic, as many officers say within months they went from being considered heroes on the front lines to enemies.
It all boils down to these three main concepts of being underfunded, understaffed, and undersupported.
And now uncertainty about their future. Gabe Gutierrez, NBC News, Portland, Oregon.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news.
Yeah, I think that's all I want to go ahead and play for y'all. But yeah. Yep. But that's the story of the times, though. And who wants to be a police officer now? There's a lot of pressure on police officers, and I mean, shoot, it's come to a head where the idea of being a police officer it's not respected, you know. And I think that's by design, just like everything else is by design. But anyway, feel free to share this video. Thank you for hitting the like button, whoever just walked in. Yeah, I just feel free to share it, as well as I'm about to go ahead and end it. You know what I mean? And but for those who missed everything, y'all could definitely rewind it and watch from the beginning. Other than that, y'all be easy, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.